Welcome to the Young Turks. Huge news day, and one that is disastrous for the Obama administration. No, not politically. This is when it comes to what he's actually doing. Now, he's going to have backup for a lot of this from Republicans and Democrats, but the reality is, as they say in Game of Thrones, winter is coming, right? Well, Big Brother is coming, and he's here, and his name is Barack Obama. Here is the guy who promised us that we were going to get change. He's delivered nothing but pocket change, and in the case of civil liberties, he has continued to one-up George W. Bush. I guess Bush is his role model, because I can't see any other reason why he would want to continue to emulate him and even go further than George Bush in his abuse of our civil liberties and our privacy. So, point number one, turns out that the NSA has been going into our records through Verizon for over 100 million of us that are connected to Verizon. They have our information. In fact, ABC News has a little bit more on this story.
Even though the alleged court order only allows collection of phone numbers and their frequency and doesn't allow the government to listen in on the actual phone calls, civil liberties groups are outraged. The ACLU calls the practice alarming. Even former Democratic Vice President Al Gore voiced concern on Twitter, saying, in the digital era, privacy must be a priority. Is it just me, or is secret blanket surveillance obscenely outrageous? The order, reportedly obtained 10 days after the Boston Marathon bombings, does not identify intended targets or explain why the government is casting such a wide net.
It was the Verizon court order that got leaked, but there would clearly be court orders for other carriers.
This is unbelievable. Now, if you think, well, they're not listening to the actual calls, but they know who you called. If they wanted to target someone, all they've got to do is look at all the different numbers. For example, let's say a political enemy or a reporter who's doing stories they don't like. It's not like they're beyond targeting reporters. They do it all the time, right? Calls what? Their bookie. Calls escort service. Calls someone to get marijuana. Anything that you could possibly be doing illegal, they've got the information. This is gigantic, Big Brother. So here's more from Glenn Greenwald's article in Guardian that broke this story. The document shows for the first time that under the Obama administration, the communication records of millions of U.S. citizens are being collected indiscriminately and in bulk, regardless of whether they are suspected of any wrongdoing. Remember when they used to tell us that BS about, oh, no, we're only going after terrorists. So what, now the whole country is terrorists or suspected terrorists? They continue. The order, a copy of which has been obtained by The Guardian, requires Verizon on an ongoing daily basis to give the NSA information on all telephone calls in its systems, both within the U.S. and between the U.S. and other countries. You remember when they used to feed us that crap about, oh, no, don't worry, we're just listening to foreign calls. No, they're targeting domestic calls as well. The NSA is not supposed to target domestic calls or anything else. It's supposed to be an agency that looks outward. Is it? No, it's looking inward because Big Brother's coming and he's coming for you. One more from the Guardian article. The secret Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court granted the order to the FBI on April 25th, giving the government unlimited authority to obtain the data for a specified 3-month period on July 19th. Unlimited authority. Now, you remember this guy? This is the guy who ran for office back in 2008, promising change. Laugh along with me.
This administration also puts forward a false choice between the liberties we cherish and the security we provide. I will provide our intelligence and law enforcement agencies with the tools they need to track and take out the terrorists without undermining our Constitution and our freedom. That means no more illegal wiretapping of American citizens. No more national security letters to spy on citizens who are not suspected of a crime. No more tracking citizens who do nothing more than protest a misguided war. No more ignoring the law when it is inconvenient. That is not who we are.
Well, that's not who we're supposed to be, but that's exactly who Barack Obama is. That's who he is. It would change. Look, people sometimes say, oh, no, he never promised not to spy in on you. Yes, he did. He promised it right there in the 08 campaign. So, this is supposed to be a big faux pas and oh, no, don't do it. He lied It's not subtle. He said there will be no spying on citizens who are not suspected of a crime. He lied. There is spying on all of us, and we are not suspected of a crime. Barack Obama is a liar. Can I make it clear? Like, that's like a big thing to say, oh my God, wow, he just called a politician a liar. Yes, Obama is a politician, he's Big Brother, and he's a liar. And by the way, today, Washington Post breaks another story. It's not just the phone companies, it's the internet companies. They have a secret project that was just revealed today called PRISM that allows all of them to track us through our internet companies. The companies involved are, here, let me read it to you, Microsoft, Yahoo, Google, Facebook, Paltalk, AOL, Skype, YouTube, Apple. A former intelligence officer says they quite literally can watch your ideas form as you type. Oh, no, we're not going to spy in on you. Barack Obama is a liar. Can I be clearer about that? All right, let me bring in my panel. David Sirota is a syndicated columnist, journalist, and best-selling author. Hostile Takeover is one of many books he's written. Lauren Brown Jarvis is a political organizer for Nation Builder. Noah Rothman is an editor at Mediaite. Thank you, guys. Well, obviously you know where I stand. David, thoughts on this?
Well, I think that it's obvious that President Obama didn't follow through on his campaign promises, and I think that what's going on right now is a whole lot of CYA, and I don't think they're going to be able to CYA with this disclosure. I mean, this disclosure, I think, in a certain sense, it confirms what we already, I think, suspected, and many of us strongly suspected. And I think that the question now is, what are going to be the ramifications? Will Congress do anything? Will the courts do anything now that it's out in the open? And I don't know what the answer to that is, but it seems like now there's almost, it would be an embarrassment, not that that stops Congress from doing anything, but it would be an utter embarrassment if Congress doesn't even try to do anything.
Well, look, I got bad news for you, David. They're not going to do a damn thing. Now, there are some people on the right side, like Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden and Udall and Rand Paul on the Republican side. But the great majority of Congress is on the wrong side. Feinstein today saying, this is how we protect America. We must protect the homeland. I was like, thank you, the senator from Stuttgart. I appreciate it. Okay, I mean, it was chilling, her language. And then there's Lindsey Graham, who has found every conceivable way to attack the president. But on this issue, he's like, please spy on us. Oh, great, violate, shred the Constitution, go for it. Watch this.
I hope the American people appreciate that the way you protect the homeland is you try to find out what the enemy's up to. I'm a Verizon customer. It doesn't bother me one bit for the National Security Administration to have my phone number, because what they're trying to do is find out what terrorist groups we know about and individuals and who the hell are calling. And if my number pops up on some terrorist phone, I'm confident that the FISA court is not going to allow my phone calls to be monitored by my government unless you and others can prove to them that I'm up to terrorist activity through a probable cause standard.
So spy on me, spy on me. And, you know, democracy, the republic ends to thunderous applause from our Senate and our House in a lot of ways. Noah Rothman, you're a conservative. I'm curious as to what your take on this is.
Well, we've heard that this could have contributed to the thwarting of a terror plot, and that's very significant. If that's true, and that needs to be confirmed, obviously, that's something that you shouldn't just dismiss outright. On the other hand, politically, and you had said in the beginning of the show that this may not be politically damaging for the White House. I'm not sure if it is. The president's mandate in 2008 was transparency. It was a softening of the war on terror, and this is yet the final straw, saying that he's essentially ratified just about every counterterror tactic that the Bush administration used, from extrajudicial killing to extraordinary rendition, and now to wiretapping and to monitoring of communications. So this would be the equivalent of a catastrophic terror attack happening during President Bush's second term. His mandate was to soften counterterror tactics. He's done the precise opposite. It's politically perilous.
Lauren, I'm going to ask you the hardest question of all. Who is this guy? You know, why does he say in 2008, oh, we're not going to do any of this Bush stuff? And then he puts the Bush programs on steroids. Who is he?
I think that's a fair question. And I think you're also looking at why aren't the American people calling this person into accountability? He is our president. We did elect him. And even our congressional members at that. I mean, until people get angry, and I doubt they're going to get angry, you have to be, pretty well off to have Verizon. And most everybody in America right now is poor and their credit is bad. So they're on Sprint with me. But, if you get angry, if the American people were to get angry enough about this and really call the president and their Congress people down to the carpet, something would change. But everyone's, gone home and checked out on this.
But I also think that there's a normalization. That the reason why the public may not necessarily respond in the way that, for instance, I think the public should respond is there is a kind of, well, I already knew that factor. Well, I already suspected that. Even if it wasn't explicitly news, I'm already expecting that the NSA is looking at Facebook, looking at AOL, looking at those communications, that the NSA is looking at Verizon records. So what's really scary and I think sad is that under the Obama administration, he has not only embraced Bush policies, he has overseen a normalization of now what are transpartisan policies to the point where they're part of the fabric of our expectations and our assumptions about our politics.
Unfortunately, that's a devastating point. It's absolutely true. President Obama took what he said was going to be, these Bush policies that were exceptional and wrong and radical. That's what he campaigned on in 2008. Remember the giant signs that said, change, change. And he did the exact opposite. Instead of change, he brought continuity. And, sometimes you say, all right, well, look, instead of warrantless spying, I'll get a warrant to do of basically 300 million people. Because, Lauren, I got news for you. They're also looking into Sprint. Okay? We just happen to have a document on Verizon.
People really start to think about the fact your phone is your most personal device. And right now it's the location of the call and maybe who you called. But that could easily expand to what pictures did you take? Mm-hmm. Who did you send a tweet to? So when people really start to think about how this program could expand and what that could mean for just personal privacy rights, then we'll see a change. Then they'll call this president into accountability.
Here's the only chance we have is if they actually target other powerful people. If they do this to rich people, because through PRISM, they can look in on your Skype calls. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's the intelligence officers saying, we're looking at what you're typing, even if you don't send it.
Right.
Okay? If they do it to rich people, they do it to powerful people like senators or congressmen, or they overwhelmingly do it to the media. Not media like Glenn Greenwald or David Sirota or anything like that. No, they do it to CNN. Then we're going to have an issue. Otherwise, they can do it to us all day long, and the powerful all agree we should have no rights. Mm-hmm. No, it's a terrible day for the Obama administration. And I know they're cavalier about it, and they love to, punch progressives and kick them and call them names and then be proud of being right wing and, oh yeah, I can out-Bush Bush. And they think that's such a brilliant move in Washington. But I got news for you. One day when you lose your base and the right wing continues to attack you viciously and overwhelmingly on stuff that isn't even true, they don't attack on this stuff, they attack on nonsense. Well, then you got nobody to back you up. So, okay, you're all right today. Come back and talk to me 2 years from now when you've devastated your base and the right wing is still attacking. Let's see what happens then, because then it becomes personal for Obama, because his glory would be in danger. Then that'll be an interesting moment. Look, on this show, we try to bring you the truth, no matter how sometimes ugly it is, and sometimes it's wonderful, okay? And you got the whole range, and I don't give a damn about Democrats and Republicans. If you've been watching this show, I think you're pretty aware of that. Now, so when we come back in the next segment, we're going to talk about health care and what Obama did right in health care. And then when we come back in the third segment, we're going to talk about drones and a new revelation and what Obama did terrible on that. So the whole gamut, we call it out as it is. Right back on the Young Turks.